Oh, yeah? Oh, where is he? What? I'll make sure we deduct some $20 out of his salary or whatever.
Yeah.
This chair's like on the ground.
Don't scare me like that.
Oh, let's just go with this.
They give us a hand signal? No, three. There it goes.
Hi, welcome to February 27th Village Board meeting. So I am going to open it up, as we usually do, with the public comment session.
Don't we do the pledge?
After the pledge. Don, I'm glad you're awake today. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thanks, Don. Heather will get you a piece of candy for that. All right, so now the public comment section. Anyone like to come up? 5 minutes, podium, state your name and address, and it looks like we do not have any takers this evening. So I will close the public comment section. We're going to go into village business. So everyone was able to look at the February 13th minutes. Did anyone have any questions?
No, sir.
Concerns, nothing? No typos from Heather? Okay. So if no one has any questions, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes for the village board meeting on February 13th. Closer.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Trustee Belkane?
Aye.
Trustee Polito?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Claims and warrants. I know I still have to go through some of these this evening. But everyone else have a chance to look at them.
Yeah, I looked them over, everything looks good, other than something I already addressed. So we're good.
What'd you address?
I questioned the spectrum,
Seems a little high.
like, we're paying like over 400 a month for,
What was that outcome?
oh, she's gonna look into it.
Ah, so,
Yeah.
okay. So it's higher than normal, as you're saying?
No, just in general, I mean,
Okay. So you can give us that information next meeting?
Yes, I will do that.
So it looks like we're gonna have some budget modifications,
Yes.
and we will, from the general fund, we're gonna move from contingency $651.93. I'm gonna just read through these and then we'll go back to that. To computer assistance and hardware for $651.93. We are taking from billing village hall equipment, $8,400 to the budget line engineering professional services. Huh? Am I reading the minutes?
I think you read last month.
You're reading, yeah.
That's what happens when you're running late. All right, so before we get into this, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the claims and warrants. Don, remind me about that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All right, so apparently I was looking at the wrong budget modification, so I apologize for that, but we do have several more. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
All right, now we're ready.
Yes.
So,
I'm gonna bring wine to the next one.
it's been a long day. So from rentals, we're taking $15,210, moving into road salts. Storm sewer equipment, $8,545.71 to operation maintenance of equipment of vehicles. And we have storm sewer equipment, $6,400 to operation maintenance of equipment or vehicles. Record management contractual, $920 to retirement. So you want to make a motion to approve the general, and then we can do the sewer, and we'll do it all
You
together.
can do it all.
And for the sewer fund modification, we're $23,166 from sewer treatment equipment to sludge hauling landfill. And obviously, you guys see the explanations for all. Does anyone have questions regarding that? I'll ask for a motion to approve both the general and the sewer budget modifications.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Trustee Belkane?
Aye.
Trustee Polito?
Aye.
Motion passes.
So Don, I'll pass this over to you.
The only thing I want to discuss is this email I received from trustee Ippolito, who, the Verizon wireless license agreement, for some reason, I don't know what your issue is with them, but originally they proposed a 30-year agreement that had an automatic renewal. So it was 15 years plus a 15-year automatic renewal, but 30 years total. So now they come back with, they still want 30 years, 20 years, and then 2 5-year options, which the village has no right to deny the option. But instead, Mr. Ippolito says, I would prefer lower years with more options, but still equaling the same 20 years? What's the
No,
difference?
because options, maybe you don't do a lot of this, I'm just assuming, but options, you can have outs, like we actually read. Remember, this whole conversation started, sir, by who's gonna remember 90 days before that last, before that.
The
you could-
options are at the option of Verizon.
No, it should be to either party, and you have 90, you should.
You have a 90-day out, I mean, you should be able to.
Right, so we're saying for
Well,
20 years straight, we
I don't
can't
think
change it.
I don't think that's the type of option that Verizon is talking about. You gotta think, they're doing a substantial capital investment in their 5G system. And you want them after what, 10 years, you can pull the plug on them and they gotta pull all their stuff out of the village?
You have to have some other language in there, but that's fine, and I guess.
But it just doesn't seem to me why, I guess I don't understand what the hangup is over,
There's no hang up.
The
I think
period of
I
time.
maybe I'm the only one that responded, I don't know if anyone responded.
nobody else responded.
So I just responded, I am not in favor of like extremely long contracts. That was my statement. Didn't say, no, Don, we're not gonna do it.
Well, I just.
And I'm the only one person on the board that responded, I can't speak for my
All right,
people.
but we, just Jake and I, we don't want to go back and forth a lot of times with Verizon. You know, we like to
Understand.
say, this is what's acceptable.
Understand.
If I can,
Yeah.
if we don't, say we didn't do this master license agreement or master license agreement with Verizon, they can still come in for every single installation and go through a permitting process and have the board review it. And ultimately, they still have those installations there, and those installations are for 25 years, aren't they? There was a 10-year and then 3 5-year, and those are automatic renewals on the installations themselves. So it's effectively what you're gonna have, you know, the equipment that's out there is still gonna be out there for 25 years. This just kind of streamlines the process, doesn't it? It's kind of almost like a vetting thing. You're like streamlining the process for the permits on the front side of it.
I think the purpose of this is there are certain situations, if they're going to put equipment up on an existing pole, they can just simply do an application, pay the fee, and it goes to the building inspector, or the code enforcement officer, and it doesn't necessarily have to come to this board. He can simply, if it meets all their requirements, grant it. But they still need the license, because if it's on a village-owned pole or in the village right-of-way, they still need a license. So the the whole purpose of the master license agreement is to eliminate the need for them to come back to the village to get a license if otherwise all they need is a building permit.
Right.
But as Jake said, most of them, if they're not on a, you know, if it's a new pole, or if they have to, if there's a 10% change to a pole or something like that, they have to come to this board anyhow. And part of that could always also be grant them the license.
Right.
But the code enforcement officer doesn't have the authority to grant, on behalf of the village, to grant licenses to use village property or village rights of way. So that's the point of the agreement, that's the whole point of the thing. And obviously, I don't know how long, you know, 5G technology is supposed to last before they go to 6G or
No, I would
whatever.
imagine it's like 2 years.
But, you know,
Along with the iPhone, every time the
you know,
iPhone
they're
goes up.
spending a lot of money to do all this stuff, and I guess they like their stuff to be up there for
So
a
how
while.
much, you know the cap, you say a lot of money, capital, big capital dollars, you know what that is?
No,
So we're just assuming they're spending, and we don't know if they make their money back in 5 years, 2 years, or 20 years. You're just assuming that's right.
Looking at my bill, it's about 2 weeks.
So that's they are gonna be the ones receiving revenue. That's fine. I mean, again, I just threw it out there.
well, like any other not-for-profit business, they're in it to make a profit, but they have an investment, and there's a return on their investment, but what's wrong with that?
All right, so what are you asking, we're not voting on it, so you're just asking us if we can move forward with it, basically, right?
Well, you says, I would prefer lower years with more options, so what are the lower years and what are the more options? That's all I'm asking, so that we can then go back to them and say, okay.
In my mind, I was just saying if it's 30, so if you did 10-year, 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 you have some ability when that 10 years in these options to have some flexibility around negotiation. If you say that's not possible, not gonna happen,
No.
then there's the rest of the board here that doesn't have to agree with me, I'm not sure.
I don't know what's possible and what's not. I
I'm
just
not
wonder
sure where the
something-
mayor is.
I
What do you guys,
you didn't
okay
like,
with the 20? That's-
you didn't like 20 years and then 2 5-year terms, so what, you're saying 10 years and 2 10-year options would be acceptable?
Did I say I didn't like the, can you read my email, sir?
Pretty long contract that locks us into. I would prefer.
Prefer, that's a prefer.
Okay.
Didn't say dislike. You guys with me on this?
Before you go too deep into this,
Yeah.
let me just say a couple of things about this. What's that?
It's a button on top.
Okay, here we go. First, think of it like a regular permit coming through, and my looking at it, and based on the information provided, whether or not I can just issue a permit outright, or it has to go to planning or zoning, okay? You guys are planning and zoning in this sense,
Right.
so you got that part down.
Okay.
They're a quasi, or in actuality, a utility. So they're in our right-of-way, just like RG&E is in our right-of-way, just like Spectrum's in our right-of-way, just like Frontier is in our right-of-way. Everything, you know, so if you would look at it from that perspective, I think that's part of the point of why they're having this license agreement, because they're a quasi, and as I say, the reason I say it that way is because I don't know if they're considered a utility, but the FCC certainly considers them a utility. And to your point of, you know, is this technology going to be the future? I would say, yeah, because I think they're trying to actually get rid of cable and go with the wireless. That I know. So, and TracFone keeps telling me I need to get a new phone. So,
Excellent.
does that help?
Oh yeah, I would go for 50 now. So what's the rest of the board think? Are you guys fine? Are you fine with the 20?
Well, I understand where you're
I
coming
look
from,
at
you know, as that waste
it.
management there, the contracts lock in, you know, if you don't pay attention, just renews, but I'll leave it to our expert down there, if he feels we don't need to change
I
it.
just think, like Will said, this is different than a vendor. This is different than, you know, the village contracting with waste management to get rid of the village office's garbage. this is actually a service that they're, you know,
Provide.
that they're providing to your residents, that everybody's, you know, gonna supposedly love. And, you know, so, I just think it's a
So you
little
feel there's
different.
no need to change it?
I think it's a little different, you know, it's more like the
What do you
RG
need from us?
you know, the RG&E polls. I don't need anything now. I just need to tell them that if you prefer not to have two, you know,
No, if-
20 years with 2 5-year terms, tell me what you prefer and I'll just run it by them. And if they say okay, then they'll redo the agreement and then we'll bring it back before the board.
I'm fine with leaving what you proposed if there's.
It's not that's what they came back with.
All right.
I just went back to them and said, they don't like the automatic renewal. So then they came back and said, okay, how about 20 years with 2 additional 5-year options? And then I sent the email to you guys and I got your,
Yeah.
what you would prefer. So,
And I thought
So
it was
that's fine.
okay.
It doesn't-
That's why I-
So let's just go with what they said
so
and
I don't know what's
Let's do it.
standard or
Let's move on.
whatever, but I just need to tell them something so we can get this done.
That's fine, they
wanna-
came back.
They want
to
to
the
start,
first
they
one.
want to start
They came
doing
back.
their stuff in the village, you
Yeah,
know?
they do.
Okay,
And I just didn't respond because I agreed with, so I
You know,
just left
so
it.
it doesn't matter to me if you want to run by, you know, 10 with 2
no,
10-year
that's
options,
fine,
I
I
will.
don't wanna slow this process down
Okay,
for
because
you.
they're, obviously, they suggested the 20 years with a 2 5, so they're
Right.
okay with that.
Right,
Yeah.
so I must have not been too far off, they were willing to negotiate.
Yeah.
No, they readily said, okay, we'll not go with the automatic renewal,
All right.
but said they'll do this.
So,
So we'll do that, and we'll see what the terms of their option, how that reads. We'll
You're
get it back.
85 years by the time that's old. You're 85 years old by the time that's.
All right, so,
Jeez. That was awful.
okay, I'll be
so
good.
we'll probably have something that we could, you know, in 2 weeks, put back on the agenda
Yeah,
for you.
good.
All right, thank you, John.
Okay.
Okay.
Will,
Oh.
you got something for us tonight,
I
sir?
figured I'd talk that up, I should be all set.
We are.
I'll just go over the miscellaneous, because the rest is just the run-of-the-mill things. As far as, well, let me throw in Country Manor. So Country Manor, they had a deed transfer, and according to our code, when you have a deed transfer, multiple family and some other parameters, it requires a new COO. And thankfully, what that allowed me to do was go in there and pretty much introduce myself to the new manager who's doing a fantastic job. I'm getting less and less phone calls now. I don't know what happened before, but he's really cleaning things up over there. But what it allows me to do is, they made available to me 2 apartments per building. Then I go in the common ways, the laundry and the furnace room, and the boiler room, and the basement. And so I opened their eyes to a lot of things that needed to change, needed to be fixed, repaired, done right the first time, which wasn't done back in the 60s apparently, I don't know. But, so they're taking care of everything, they're doing a fantastic job, that's all I can say about that, so I'm glad. Brittany Woods was already asked earlier, before we started the meeting, they're moving along. I'll just say, for now, there's a possible proposal for the Shantz property over there on State Road, the 40-plus acres, next to the Episcopal Church there. It's the southeast corner. So I'm pretty excited about that, and it's the developer's a really good developer, so I'm very excited about that. Possible proposal for a new building at 60 Barrett Drive. We're still in negotiations and talking about that and what that all entails. They didn't have enough information for me yet, but as soon as they do, we'll let you know. We completed our CDBG grant for this year, and we're going to continue with the sidewalks. We got the grant for East Main, and we're going to continue down West Main. So we're hopeful. Depends on what happens with the Congress, I think it is, because this is one of the things that was scratched from the budget. But they appealed before last year, same thing, and they got the money, so we're hoping we get the money again this year. Completed a whole bunch of year-end reports that I had to do. Basically, that's the gist of my report. Is there any questions?
Lots of progress there on the old Webster over there.
Oh, yeah, 109 West Main. So basically, everybody keeps asking me,
Yes.
what's going in there?
I know.
I don't know. You say,
He
well,
still doesn't.
why are they working? They have a general remodel permit, and what he wants to do is right now, when he started the project, and I gave him, I kind of warned him in the sense that if you don't know what the occupancy is going to be, there might be some changes that you didn't anticipate, just so you know. But basically, right now, he's just getting it to the point where it's marketable. Had to do a lot of work, a lot of structural work. They're doing some great stuff over there. I know the Historical Commission was a little concerned because of the front. I'm pretty sure he's not really going to do much, any more changes than what's already been done. I've heard things from anything from a microbrewery to...
I've heard that a few times now.
To a restaurant, which, if we combine them, maybe that's what it's going to be, a
Well, especially
restaurant,
this
microbrewery.
huge area in the back.
Well, yeah,
And that's what I was wondering, what
Sure.
that was going, yeah.
I know. You got excited there for a minute. Got some drool there.
Well, I was good. If you say combined, I was a little worried about a micro restaurant.
But I like that because he is taking care of another cobblestone building that we have.
Yeah.
And he did a great job on what he has already worked on.
Mm-hmm. No, he does.
Yeah.
Everything he does is a good job
He's a good
with.
guy.
So. Yep. So I'll let you know.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the whole? No? All right, Mr. Sherlin.
Moving nicely.
Oh, jeez.
DPW and sewer, I know we mentioned it, we did talk to, meet with the town and the DEC folks, and they're scheduling another meeting or phone conference with the EFC.
I haven't seen it scheduled yet, though.
No, and so, but to continue looking at that. That's it.
Very good. So we're gonna have a public notification. Serial bond interest payment for bond obtained in 2012 will be made in the amount of $12,718.75 on March 15th, 2020.
This is what you have to sign, sir.
Sign that,
Thank you.
was done. Anyone got anything else?
We'll just need 2 signatures on that, please.
Okay. Sign. My friend signed here. So our next meeting is, we have a village board workshop March 3rd. That is at 6 p.m. Following by village board meeting of March 12th. And then again, we'll be back to 7 o'clock.
And if you want to talk about the sisters and
Is he
yeah,
coming? Is he
the
coming?
last workshop. You mentioned it, offered it to him, and he seemed like he'd be interested in talking about it then.
So he's aware that he's coming to talk
I'll
about it?
double check with him, but that was what the plan was, I think.
Okay. You guys good with that? I'm coming to continue the sisters'
Mr. Ruoff?
Yes.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect.
I'll call him.
Okay, thanks for that.
Mhm.
All right. So I'm going to now, we gotta take a vote to go into executive session
Yes, sir.
to discuss an employee related matter.
You need to be a little more specific, because simply discussing employee
I double
matters.
checked on that with Nikon, and they
She
said it was
double
okay.
checked.
I double checked with Nikon, and they said it was okay.
No, but
They didn't, no one liked what we did last time.
I don't know what you're talking about. So,
We'll discuss it in executive session.
I'm just talking about the resolution.
He's just talking about why we want
A
to.
general employee matters, that could encompass who knows what. That could encompass discussing next year's budget for how much you're gonna pay for payroll. That's employee matters. That's not the subject of an executive session. I'm not debating that what you're gonna talk about tonight is properly the subject of an executive session.
I'm saying I was told I could put that on the agenda, I'm just saying.
Well, we can discuss this.
If I could,
Could you just listen?
the resolution simply needs to be more specific so that it complies with section 105 of the general municipal law, which governs what you can talk about in executive sessions or not. And so the resolution really should say you want a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person. And it's got to be of a particular person. You don't have to mention the person's name, but you got to say it's revolving in a particular person. So employee matters just isn't enough. So the resolution just needs to reflect. So in the future, if anybody questions why you went into executive session, you can say it was to discuss the possible dismissal or removal of a particular person.
Perfect. So I'll ask for a motion.
Yes, I'll make that.
I'll second.
And then let's make sure that we use Don's phrase moving forward here. Right?
Okay. Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Trustee Belkane?
Aye.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Motion passes.
So we're going in the other room?
Yep. Do you know what Kevin Lockhart?
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, he's commenting.
Once. What's it say?
He's commenting that the mic sounds better a little.
Of course, now we get more.
All right, let's do this.
So I'm going to ask for a motion.
Just
Hello. All right, I'm just going to ask for a motion to close executive session.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone have anything else?
That's it.
So if not, I'll make a motion to close the board meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.